Hello, and thank you for tuning in. You are once again tuned into Esoteric Guidance, and we are going to continue our journey through the book of Jubilees. And again, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for listening. Soul Tribe Collective, thank you so much. I am, again, very happy and surprised at the reception of this particular series. And again, thank you for listening and sharing. Okay? Happy Sunday to you. I hope it is a great day and you are well on your way to whatever your Garden of Eden happens to be, whatever that is for you today. I hope you get to enjoy it. So as usual, we're going to read the last couple of verses here, all right, and then we'll move on to the next couple of chapters. Okay. So again, thank you so much, and good morning or afternoon or whenever you happen to come across this. Good day to you. All right. So, and now I give thanks unto thee, O God. And this is Abraham getting ready to, I believe, Abraham is getting ready to pass, okay? All right, and so he's meeting with his children. They have made him, Ishmael and Isaac, they've both made him dinner or meals, okay, and prepared this great feast for him. Okay, he lived to be 175 years old, okay, in this particular lifetime. And now I give thanks unto thee, my God, because thou hast caused me to see all this day. Behold, I am 163 years old. Okay, so a score is 30 years. A score is 20 years, okay? So a Jubilee is 50 years, and a score is 20 years, okay? So that equates to 100, and then you have 160 plus 15, or 75, 175 years, an old man and full of days. And all my days have been unto me peace. The sword of the adversary hath not overcome me in all that thou hast given me, and my children all the days of my life until this day. My God, may thy mercy and thy peace be upon thy servant and upon thy seed of his sons, that they may be to thee a chosen nation and an inheritance from amongst all the nations of the earth, from henceforth unto all the days of the generation of the earth, unto all the ages. Okay, so that's Abraham blessing his family, blessing his sons, blessing the lineage. Abraham's last words to and blessings of Jacob. Okay, and he called Jacob and said, my son Jacob, may the God of all bless thee and strengthen thee to do righteousness, and his will be before him. And may he choose thee and thy seed, that ye may become a people for his inheritance, according to his will always. And do thou, my son Jacob, draw near and kiss me. And he drew near and kissed him, and he said, blessed be my son Jacob, and all the sons of God Most High, unto all the ages. May God give unto thee a seed of righteousness, and some of thy sons may he sanctify in the midst of the whole earth. May nations serve thee, and the nations bow themselves before thy seed. Be strong in the presence of men, and exercise authority over all the seed of Seth. Then that thy ways and the ways of thy sons will be justified, so that they shall become a holy nation. May the Most High God give thee all the blessings wherewith he hath blessed me, and wherewith he blessed Noah and Adam. May they rest on the sacred head of thy seed from generation to generation forever. And may he cleanse thee from all unrighteousness and impurity, that thou mayest be forgiven all thy transgressions and thy sins of ignorance. And may he strengthen thee and bless thee, and mayest thou inherit the whole earth. And may he renew his covenant with thee, that thou mayest be to him a nation for his inheritance for all the ages. And that he may be to thee and to thy seed a God in truth and righteousness throughout all the days of the earth. And do thou, my son Jacob, remember thy words, or my words, and observe the commandments of Abraham thy father. Separate thyself from the nations, and eat not with them, and do not according to their works, and become not their associate, for their works are unclean. And all their ways are pollution and an abomination and uncleanness. They offer their sacrifices to the dead, and they worship evil spirits, and they eat over the graves, and all their works are vanity and nothingness. They have no heart to understand, and their eyes do not see what their works are. And how they err in saying to a piece of wood, Thou art my God, and to a stone, Thou art my Lord, and Thou art my deliverer. And they have no heart. As for thee, my son Jacob, may the Most High God help thee, and the God of heaven bless thee, and remove thee from their uncleanness and from all their errors. Be thou ware, my son Jacob, of taking a wife from any seed of the daughters of Canaan, for all his seed is to be rooted out of the earth. For owing to the transgression of Ham, Canaan erred, and all his seed will be destroyed from off the earth, and all the residue thereof. So it won't even be a remnant. And none springing from him will be saved on the day of judgment. And as for the worshippers of idols and the profane, there will be no hope for them in the land of the living, and there will be no remembrance of them on the earth. For they will descend into Sheol, and that's the abyss, and into the place of condemnation will they go. As the children of Sodom were taken away from the earth, so will all those who worship idols be taken away. Fear not, my son Jacob, and be not dismayed, O son of Abraham. May the Most High God preserve thee from destruction, and from all the paths of error may he deliver thee. This house have I built for myself, that I might put my name upon it in the earth. It is given to thee and to thy seed forever, and it will be named the house of Abraham. It is given to thee and to thy seed forever. For thou wilt build my house and establish my name before God forever. Thy seed and thy name will stand throughout all generations of the earth. And he ceased commanding him and blessing him, and the two lay together on one bed, and Jacob slept in the bosom of Abraham, his father's father, and he kissed him 7 times, and his affliction and his heart rejoiced over him. And he blessed him, with all his heart and said, the Most High God, the God of all and Creator of all, who brought me forth from Ur of the Chaldees, that he might give me this land, and that's Hebron, to inherit it forever, and that I might establish a holy seed, blessed be the Most High forever. And he blessed Jacob and said, my son, over whom with all my heart and my affliction I rejoice, may thy grace and thy mercy be lifted up upon him and upon his seed always. And do not forsake him, nor set him at naught from henceforth unto the days of eternity. And may thine eyes be opened upon him and upon his seed, that thou mayest preserve him and bless him, and mayest sanctify him as a nation for thine inheritance. Excuse me. And bless him with all thy blessings from henceforth unto all the days of eternity, and renew thy covenant and thy grace with him and with his seed according to all thy good pleasure unto all the generations of the earth. So many blessings for Jacob. The death and burial of Abraham. And he placed 2 fingers of Jacob on his eyes, and he blessed the God of gods, and he covered his face, and stretched out his feet, and slept the sleep of eternity, and gathered to his fathers, and was gathered to his fathers. And notwithstanding all this, Jacob was lying in his bosom, and knew not that Abraham his father's father was dead. And Jacob awoke from sleep, and behold, Abraham was cold as ice, and he said, Father, Father. But there was none that spake, and he knew that he was dead. And he arose from his bosom, and ran and told Rebekah his mother, and Rebekah went to Isaac in the night and told him, and they went together, and Jacob with them, and a lamp was in his hand. And when they had gone in, they found Abraham lying dead. And Isaac fell on his face, on the face of his father, and wept and kissed him. And the voices were heard in the house of Abraham, and Ishmael his son arose and went to Abraham his father, and wept over Abraham his father, he and all the house of Abraham, and they wept with a great weeping. And his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the double cave near Sarah his wife, and they wept for him 40 days. All the men of, there's something about 40 days in purification, right? We know Yeshua spent more than one 40-day cycle out in the wilderness, okay? And they wept for him 40 days, all the men of his house, and Isaac and Ishmael, and all their sons, and all the sons of Keturah, which were 6, in their places. And the days of weeping for Abraham were ended. And he lived 3 Jubilees, again, every 50 years, Jubilees, so that's 150 years, okay, 3 Jubilees, 4 weeks of years, 175 years, and completed the days of his life, being old and full of days. Okay, so even then 175 was seen as being old and full of days. It was interesting because Noah did not get the commandment from highest divine white light until he was 400 and something years old to even build the ark. So you see how time and sin is diminishing with man? We can see that here. Okay, at least time on this earth. Okay. The decreasing years, see, I was just mentioning it. See, the decreasing years and increasing corruption, hand in hand. Hand in hand. That was the tipping of the scales, okay? Or the imbalance of the scales. We're doing good with time. For the days of the forefathers of their life were 19 Jubilees. See, 19 Jubilees. And after the flood, they began to grow less than 19 Jubilees, and to decrease in Jubilees, and to grow old quickly, and to be full of their days by reason of manifold tribulation and the wickedness of their ways. More sin, less life. More sin, less life. Less sin, more life. With the exception of Abraham. For Abraham was perfect in all his deeds with the Lord, and well-pleasing in righteousness all the days of his life. And behold, he did not complete 4 Jubilees in his life. He completed essentially three and three quarters Jubilees. Okay, when he had grown old by reason of the wickedness and was full of his days. And so even the wickedness touched him, even though he was not considered one who was wicked. And all the generations which will arise from this time until the day of the great judgment will grow old quickly. And now people, it's a struggle for people to live to 50. Okay? I will say the average age is going up. I think the average age now for a man is 80, and the average age for, at least in America, for a female is 85. Okay? Alexa, what's the average lifespan of a man today?
The closest answer I know is from 2016, when the United States' average male lifespan was 76.3 years.
Alexa, what's the average lifespan today of a woman?
The average lifespan of a woman in the United States is 81 years.
Okay. So there you go. So we are not even living on average 2 Jubilees today. On average. It's a milestone to reach the century mark. Okay? Jubilees. And all the generations which will arise from this time until the day of the great judgment will grow old quickly before they complete 2 Jubilees. See? 2 Jubilees. And their knowledge will forsake them by reason of their old age. So that's talking to being senile. That's talking about dementia. Okay? That's what that means. And all their knowledge will vanish away. That is exactly what that's speaking of, people. And in those days, if a man live a jubilee and a half of years, they will say regarding him, he hath lived a long life. So what do we say about those who die at 85, 90 years, or 80, 85, 90 years old? We say they've lived a good life, a long life. That's what we say today. And the greatest part of his days are pain and sorrow and tribulation, and there is no peace. For calamity followeth on calamity, and wound on wound, and tribulation on tribulation, and evil tidings on evil tidings, and illness on illness, and all evil judgments, such as these, one with another, illness and overthrow, and snow and frost, and ice and fever, and chills, and torpor, and famine, and death, and sword, and captivity, and all kinds of calamities and pains. That's a lot. And all these will come on an evil generation, which transgresseth on the earth. Their works are uncleanness and fornication, and pollution and abomination. Then they will say, The days of the forefathers were many. We say that today. Wow, they lived to be 700 and 900. Methuselah, 969 years old. 900 and Enoch, 950 years, I believe. Noah, 930 years, or it might be vice versa. Whichever one lived 930, and no, Enoch lived 930, and Noah lived 950. Okay? So, wow, we can't imagine today someone living in one lifetime that long, right? But it happened. Sin, transgressions, false idols, fucking around, literally fucking around, fornication and adultery, fucking around, right? Diminished all of that. Then they would say the days of the forefathers were many, even unto 1,000 years, and were good. But behold, the days of our life, if a man hath lived many, and are 60 years and 10, and if he is strong, 80 years, and those evil, and there is no peace in the days of this generation. Let me read that again. Then they will say, the days of the forefathers were many, even unto 1,000 years were good. But behold, the days of our life, if a man hath lived many, and are 60 years and 10, and so again, a score is 20 years. So we're talking about 70 and 10 years, right? So 70, and which is interesting because what's the average age of a man as of 2000, whatever that was, 16, 76 years old. And if he is strong, 80, so if he is strong 60 of those, or 80 years, okay, and those evils are there, and there is no peace in the days of this evil generation. And in that generation, the sons will convict their fathers and their elders of sin and unrighteousness, and of the words of their mouth, and the great wickedness which they perpetrate. Sorry, I was wanting to say perpetuate. Saying, yeah, perpetrate. And concerning the forsaking the covenant, which the Lord made between them and him, that they should observe and do all his commandments and his ordinances and his laws, without departing either to the right hand or to the left. For all have done evil, and every mouth speaketh iniquity, and all their works are an uncleanness and an abomination, and all their ways are pollution, uncleanness, and destruction. The Messianic woes. Okay, so what are we doing here with time? We're good. Okay. Behold, the earth will be destroyed on account of all their works, and there will be no seed of the vine, and no oil, for their works are altogether faithless. Let it not be said of you. And they will all perish together, beasts and cattle and birds and all of the fish of the sea, on account of the children of men. And they will strive one with another, the young with the old, and the old with the young. That is happening right now. I've always thought, I lived in Florida, or at least that was my home of record, even with the military time. That was my home of record for 32 years. Okay? And so I often think about Florida traffic and why it's so challenging. And my general perception is because you have a lot of retirees who drive like snails, and then you have a lot of impatient young people. Okay? and that's oil and water mixing on the road. Okay, so the person who's doing 55 on the highway, they might be in the right lane, the slowest lane, or the far right lane, to do 50, but they're doing 55 miles an hour in a 65 mile an hour zone, right? That individual is causing just as much havoc as the individual who's driving erratically. Neither one of them are following the law. Okay? But that is what we're talking about here. When the young fight against the old. Okay? Again, Abraham's sons, they did not fight against him. They loved him. They adored him. Right? They kissed him even after he passed. They hugged him. They spent time with him. They made him dinner. That is how our children are to respect the earthly elders here. Okay? And their ancestors here on this earth. That is so rare today. So rare today. Okay? Again, I was the jury foreman for a trial for Patrick Campbell, who killed his grandmother in Edgewater, Florida. Okay? So, this is what that is speaking of. Okay? And they will strive one with another, the young with the old, and the old with the young, the poor with the rich, and the lowly with the great, and the beggar with the prince, on account of the law and the covenant. So how great is that gulf between poverty and wealth today? Okay? Look at Dubai and look at Mississippi. Okay? You don't even have to look that far. Look at the White House and look on the other side of the White House fence. Right in front of the White House, there are homeless people lined up each and every day in front of the White House that sleep outside that are homeless. Now granted, some of that might be for their own doing and their own karmic choices, which they need to own up to. Okay? But that shows the great divide. I just heard the great divide. That is a great example of how even in this land, there's a great divide between those who are wealthy on this earth or high society and others. And that continues to grow. That gulf, that gap, it continues to expand. Okay? There is the middle class is disappearing. It's going to be either wealthy or poor. Okay? Financially well off or poverty. The middle class is going away. On account of the law and the covenant, for they have forgotten commandment and covenant and feasts and months and Sabbaths and Jubilees and all judgments. And they will stand with bows and swords and war to turn them back into the way. But they will not return until much blood hath been shed on the earth, one by another. And we continue to fight the wars today. Again, I volunteered for them when I was in the physical military. And those who have escaped will not return to their wickedness of the way of righteousness, but they will all exalt themselves to deceit and wealth. That they may each take all that is his neighbor's, and they will name the great name, but not in truth and not in righteousness. So they will say that it is God that has blessed them with this. Okay, Alexa, what does Malachi 3:15 in the New International Version say?
According to the King James Bible, Malachi 3.
Yeah, we'll look that up at the end. Highest divine white light, please remind me to do that. And they will name the great name, but not in truth. The great name is the great I am, highest divine white light, Yahweh, El Shaddai, Elohim, the great I am, Lord of the sheep, Lord of the spirits, Alpha and Omega, okay? Highest divine white light, as I often address. And not in righteousness, and they will defile the Holy of Holies with their uncleanness and the corruption of their pollution. And a great punishment will befall the deeds of this generation, and the Lord from the Lord, generation from the Lord, and he will give them over to the sword and to judgment and to captivity and to be plundered and devoured. And he will wake up he will wake up against them. He will wake up righteousness against them. He will wake up against them the sinners of the Gentiles. Again, a Gentile today, it's a spirit, it's a nature. Again, anyone can be Beliar, Lucifer, Luciferians, anyone can be Jezebel, anyone can be a Gentile spirit, who have neither mercy nor compassion, and who will respect the person of none, neither old nor young, nor anyone, for they are more wicked and strong to do evil than all the children of men. And they will use violence against Israel and transgress against Jacob, which is where the covenant was left, as we heard in the previous section, where Abraham left the covenant to Jacob to uphold the rules, laws, Sabbaths, circumcisions on the 8th day of all males, all that was to be done, all the offerings and rituals of the Old Testament, or of the time before the consummation which came through Yeshua. Okay? And much blood will be shed upon the earth, and there will be none to gather and none to bury. In those days they will cry aloud and call and pray that they may be saved from the hand of the sinners, the Gentiles, but none will be saved. And the heads of the children will be white with gray hair. And a child of 3 weeks will appear old like a man of 100 years. So that's speaking again of the diminishing of years. And today I know, I was in the military, in fact, with a guy, his last name is Hudson. Yeah, his last name is Hudson at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. His last name's Hudson, and he was like 23 and had salt and pepper hair already. Okay? And their stature will be destroyed by tribulation and oppression. Okay? So let's take a look at Malachi, and I'm going to say something about the sperm donor also. So he, talking about abominations and the sacred places that were donated, that are anointed to be places of worship, and the holies of holies. That's what I was trying to think of. Holies of holies. He not only had Ouija boards in the church, okay, churches that he ministered in, okay, 3321 on the timer. That's all threes, okay. It's like 9 threes. Nines are important today, by the way. Alexa, what time is it?
It's 10:55 a.m.
Okay, 10:55 a.m. All right. You might be birthed in October. You might have been birthed in 1955. You might be 55 years old. 55 continues to come up in recent days. But he would have sex with these women that he was in this cult with since the 80s. He's a polygamist. He would have sex in the pulpit with these women. You want to talk about defaming? You want to talk about a detestable act? You want to talk about defaming the name of God and the Holy of Holies? You want to fuck somebody in the pulpit who's not even your wife? Who's not even your wife? Yeah, do that. I can't even imagine the judgment that, wow, I cannot even imagine. So let's take a look at this, okay? So let's take a look at what the NIV, I love the way it's worded here, better than the King James. Okay? This is Malachi 3:15. But now we call the arrogant blessed. Certain evildoers prosper. He prospered for a while. He wore $800 shoes, $1,500, $2,000 suits. He wore gaiters. He had cars galore. He's had over 100 cars. He lived a good life for a moment. Okay? And even when they put God to the test, they got away with it seemingly. Okay? But judgment came for him. Physical judgment came in 2014 when he was sentenced to 40 to 60 years. Okay? Judgment comes to those who try to shame the name of God. Okay? Which is not his name. Okay? Or its name. All right? So, I'm thinking about Zachary Timms, who died of an overdose, heroin overdose, while he was pastoring a church in Apopka. He traveled up to New York, who knows for what reason, and he traveled up to New York and died in a hotel of a cocaine heroin overdose. Okay? I'm telling you. James Cleveland died of AIDS. Yes, the Reverend James Cleveland, with all the gospel songs and all of that, right? He died of AIDS because he was fucking the men in his choir. Okay? Gwen Shamling died in a helicopter crash or a plane crash in Tennessee in 2000. Alexa, when did Gwen Shamling die?
Here's what I found.
Alexa, who is Gwen Shamling?
Gwendolyn Henley Shamblin Lara was the founder of the Remnant Fellowship cult, founder of the Christian diet program The Way Down Workshop, and an American author.
Okay, so, yeah, I forget the day that she died, but yeah, okay. She created this cult. She started out as a university nutritionist and then went into the religious sect to make more money and to deceive others. Okay? So she's another one. They look like they're prospering on the earth, Creflo Dollar. They look like they're prospering on the earth, Kenneth Copeland. They look like they're prospering on the earth, Joel Osteen. They look like they are, Joyce Myers. They look like they are. But these are the lies and the deceivers. Because people call the arrogant blessed. Oprah Winfrey. Okay? Okay? Epstein. These people look like they were prospering. Okay? Ponzi schemers. Who was the guy? Ponzi scheme. What's his name? I can't remember his name. All right. But yes. All right. So these are the individuals who will have to answer for their deeds, and often right here on earth, publicly in front of everyone, there is complete embarrassment. Sean P. Diddy Combs, Quincy Jones, you're coming up next. Yep. Dwayne Martin. Okay. Will Smith. All right. So, thank you so much as always for tuning in. My name is Nehru, and this is Esoteric Guidance, sharing the truth with us as it was given to our ancestors through these books, through these canonical texts that are not widely publicized, and the Illuminati and secret societies have tried to keep from us for ages, because they do not want this information widely publicized. They don't want you to know about MK Ultra. They don't want you to know about these things. Why? Because it exposes the darkness for which they are. Okay? Or of which they are. All right? So thank you so much again for tuning in. And as always, be encouraged.